son. You just hit with the wow effect.
Ho ho, holy shit, it's
February.
But that won't stop me from making a Christmas special I should have made
2 months ago.
Now let's talk about Christmas. Every Christmas, at one point or another, usually during a family gathering, a really old person will eventually play this song. And you know what? I've been thinking a lot about that song lately, and I realized something. I know absolutely nothing about it. Prior to my research for this review, I didn't even know who performed the song. But I know the song itself very well, and I'm willing to bet you do too. So without further ado, I present to you the brief history of musical rodents. Let me start this by saying that the Chipmunk song is a staple of my childhood, and these precious little squeak rats would see me through some of the best Christmases I'd ever have. Of course, growing up, I also watched the television shows, and I remember really enjoying them. I used to watch the Chipmunks all the time. So, where the fuck did they come from? Well, it all started when a man named Rostam Bagdasarian purchased a tape recorder with the capability of speed variation, and while messing around with the recorder, he discovered that when he played his voice back at a higher speed, it sounded squeaky, like a chipmunk. He first used this squeaky gimmick in the chart-topping 1958 single Witch Doctor, and to this day, not a single human being on Earth can listen to that song without singing along because it's just so fucking catchy. Ooh-ee, ooh-ah-ah, ting-tang, walla-walla-bing-bang. Ooh-ee, ooh-ah-ah, ting-tang, walla-walla-bing-bang. Anyways, after Witch Doctor's massive success, Ross went on to create the Chipmunk song, also known as Christmas Don't Be Late, a silly little Christmas jingle about 3 musical chipmunks and their producer, David Seville. All 4 characters were voiced by Mr. Bagdasarian, who would continue his music career under the moniker David Seville. So basically, Alvin and the Chipmunks is a thing because a man discovered the joy of squeaky voice, and believe it or not, I can totally relate to that. One of my fondest childhood memories is finding my father's handheld recorder, which had a 2.0 speed setting, and let me tell you, for a brief time in my life, the funniest thing in the world was hearing my own voice squeak back at me. Fart.
Fart.
Dude, could you imagine if Mr. Bagdasarian had decided on slowing his voice down instead of speeding it up? Alvin and the Chipmunks wouldn't even be a thing. We'd have Willie and the Whales instead. Oh god, that doesn't work as well as the Rodents. Hey, can we cut the Willie track? It's giving me fucking anxiety. Willie and the Whales obviously wouldn't have been as successful because children might laugh when chipmunks sing, but they cry when whales bellow. Of course, with the massive success of his first 2 squeaky songs, Mr. Bagdasarian would go on to produce multiple CDs with cover songs by the Chipmunks, as well as a TV show, which was used by corporations to hawk Jell-O. Because nothing is more American than using musical rodents to sell sugary bone broth to children. Except maybe using a musical rapist to sell sugary bone broth to children. Oops! At this time, Mr. Bagdasarian was still voicing Dave and, of course, all 3 Chipmunks. And keep in mind, they didn't have pitch shifter back in the 50s and 60s, meaning that Mr. Bagdasarian was talking and singing very slowly while recording these voices so that when it was played faster, you could understand what the Chipmunks were saying. This is why the Chipmunks sound a little strange in the original cartoon show.
Come on, let's not stand around gawking. You heard Dave. We got work to do.
Come on, let's not stand around gawking. You heard Dave. We got work to do.
Anyways, the Alvin show ran for only 1 season, but Ross still made that sweet, sweet Jell-O money, and at this point, his squeaky voice gimmick had paid off. With 12 Chipmunk CDs being released between 1959 and 69 and a successful television show under his belt, Mr. Bagdasarian was a self-made millionaire. Unfortunately, in 1972, Mr. Bagdasarian passed away from a sudden heart attack at the age of 52. But, although he had passed, his legacy lived on. In 1980, Chipmunk Punk was released, and it was the first of many albums by Mr. Bagdasarian's son, Ross Bagdasarian Jr. At this point in the Chipmunks timeline, Dave Seville, who was a moniker for Ross Bagdasarian, was being voiced by Ross Bagdasarian Jr. There was also a new Chipmunk show in 1983, which is the one I remember watching the most as a child. My uncle owned a bunch of Alvin and the Chipmunks VHS tapes, and whenever I visited my cousins, we would watch the shows. I still remember when my uncle first showed us the 1980s Alvin and the Chipmunks TV show, I thought Dave was Aladdin. I know now that Dave gets compared to Prince Eric from The Little Mermaid, but when I first watched it, I was convinced he was Aladdin. I thought that shit was canon. I wasn't the sharpest pickle in the axe shed. You know, I remember enjoying the Chipmunks a lot, and although I do have fond memories of the show and the movie from my youth, looking back, this shit's a little weird.
I bet $1 million on this cutie.
And I bet on...
In 10 years, I will make her one of my wives.
One of your wives?
Honestly, if my memory serves, it wasn't that out of the ordinary, at least in the 90s, to see a couple of 8-year-old anthropomorphic chipmunks seducing snakes by dancing and singing about getting lucky in a musical number more suggestive than the Pharrell Williams song. Weirdness aside, the shows do seem to still hold up, especially on the animation side of things, but in my humble opinion, it was all downhill from here. You see, in 1990, the Alvin and the Chipmunks show might have ended, but the CD sure didn't. In fact, there was a Chipmunk CD released almost every fucking year from 1990 to 2007, at which point someone decided it would be a good idea to fart out a CGI trash baby origin story for the musical Rodents, and it was dedicated to Mr. Bagdasarian, who immediately began rolling in his grave. Wait, IMDb, is there something you're trying to tell us? Oh, you weren't the only ones trying to tell us. For the record, I always thought choosing Jason Lee to play Dave was a weird casting choice. I mean, if they really wanted an accurate depiction of the original Dave Seville, they should have got Joe Rogan to play the part. You just gotta get a wig.
But let's just be realistic. If chimps were everywhere and they had full freedom, the way people do, we'd have a fucking serious problem.
I mean, maybe they cast Jason because he's a decent actor and you need to be a decent actor to convince people you're talking to chipmunks. I don't care. I still can't believe they made a CG reboot of Alvin and the Chipmunks. I'm still in shock. I'm literally shaking. But hold on, it gets worse. There's 4. There's 4 live-action Chipmunks movies. I honestly didn't even know that Chipwrecked existed. I didn't know this was a thing. I'm willing to bet a good portion of the film is just the chipmunks fucking around on an island because it's cheaper to animate the CG rats interacting with each other rather than with actual actors. They didn't even need a location scout for this film. Let's just go to fucking Trash Island. Let's go to Trash Island. It's free. God, this movie looks like a shitty video game. Oh. I should also mention that there is a CG reboot of the television show, which was created by Janice Carmen, Ross Bagdasarian Jr.'s wife. It aired less than a year before the release of 2015's Alvin and the Chipmunks: The Road Chip. I've never actually watched the show, so I'm not going to judge it blind, although I will say the CG looks unsettling. Holy shit, Dave really looks like Aladdin in this show. Wow, Janice's version of Dave is unintentionally aligning with my childhood headcanon. Weird, dude. I really don't like the way the chipmunks look. They look creepy. They look so far off from the original design now. And I mean, before the cartoon versions, they were just regular chipmunks on the CD. So we went from Marmatini to Marmatoony to Furry to Fucky to Fuck This. How did this happen? Was it money? Is it fucking money? Whatever, I'll never know because I just don't have any interest in consuming the Chipmunks media anymore. I did, however, purchase a copy of Road Chip back in 2016 for a review, but decided not to review it for the sake of my mental health. But I guess I could review the case? It looks fucking stupid. Let's read the back. Hit the road with your favorite furballs and the funniest Alvin and the Chipmunks ever. Okay, immediately we're seeing just massive problems here. First of all, these fuckers are not my favorite furballs. And second, the funniest Alvin and the Chipmunks ever? Bold claim. I thought it was funnier when the kitten died in the 1980s cartoon. Remember when the kitten died in the 1980s cartoon? Dude, I love how it says fun for the entire family. Fun for the yeah, of course. I can totally picture my diabetic grandmother, a woman who lived through a world war, slouching into her soft chair to watch a bunch of CG rodents sing pop songs. The entire family isn't your demographic, Road Chip. You don't have a demographic. Except dumb babies. Yeah, but it wouldn't sell as many copies if the back of the box said, fun for dumb babies. Bring your kids, Mom. Oh, look. Hey, Mom, shout out for $100. Here's some fucking coupons in your shitty movie you just bought so you can spend some more money before you put your head in the oven. By the way, if anyone wants to redeem this offer at redplum.com, feel free. I'm so glad that 20th Century Fox included a printout of a pop-up ad in their DVD case. They really must have needed the money. Anyways, I spent $20 on this movie and I'll probably never watch it. Now that's what I call problematic. I also purchased these 3 creepy dolls, which I will be reviewing right now. I don't know how they managed to make stuffed animals from 2016 look worse than the puppets from 1958, but they found a way. Through science. These things are horrifying. Their arms are stretched out as if they're reaching for you, it looks like they have a case of mild conjunctivitis, and they were most likely produced using Chinese slave labor. I would never give these terrible, terrible dolls to any of my children that I don't have. 0 out of 50, fuck these hideous tree rats, fuck 20th Century Fox, they can suck my balls, and yes, I'm still salty that they put a copyright claim on my road chip trailer breakdown. Let me be clear though, I like Alvin and the Chipmunks. I think it's cute, creative, and I believe it actually is fun for the entire family. The concept of these chipmunks was great, and I think the music and shows the Bagdasarians created were very entertaining, but now the chipmunks are mutant nightmare formula for dumb babies, and Ross Bagladashi Sr. is rolling in his grave. Hey, can we pitch that up? Yeah, let's get that audio of Ross rolling in his grave pitched up, please. It's fun for the entire family. You know, it's crazy to think we got all this because high-pitched voices are funny. Okay, time to throw this shit away.
Alvin! You've gone too far, Chipmunk!
No, Peter, I haven't gone far enough. My quest for immortality is only just beginning. My brothers were weak. They didn't see you as a threat. But wait, what are you doing? Peter,
Go
no,
to hell!
Wait, no!